Hey everybody, it's Brian Fleischman here, Shorewood High School, AP Computer Science. So primarily this video is for some people who may have missed class today. It'll also be helpful for you if you are new to while loops and do while loops. Also, we're going to touch on random numbers, a random number generator that Java has for us. Okay, so great for you if you're studying while loops, do while loops, and random numbers. So let's get after it today. I'm just going to rip through this. Class was like 100 minutes, so I'm just going to rip through this real quick. You can pause it if you want to try to find solutions. I'm going to kind of dive into solutions right away, okay? So a while loop is a lot like a for loop and can behave like a for loop, okay? So as a warm-up, can we write a for loop that can print the first 10 multiples of 8? Okay, a for loop that can print the first 10 multiples of 8. I can think of a couple ways to do that, okay? So pause the video now if you want to try it on your own computer. Write it down on a piece of paper, whatever you got, and press play again when you're ready to see some solutions. Okay, here we go. Okay, so one way you could do it, just as a review, is we could begin I at 1, and we could say I grows to be as big as 10. Less than or equal to 10. Excuse me there. Oh my gosh. Okay. So here's a for loop that runs 10 times, so that for each of the 10 multiples of 8, right? It starts at 1, goes to 10, and instead of printing out the numbers 1 through 10, I don't want to print out 1 through 10. That's what this would do. I would print out whatever the index is times 8, okay? 8 times I, and so at first it'll print 8, and then when I is 2, it'll print 16 and so on, right? So I want to make sure I get that. Let's see here. Do I get the first 10 multiples of 8? I can look here. Yeah, I do. There they are. Another solution you might have thought of is this, okay, is for int I equals 8, you could say I want to start on 8 and I want I to grow to be less than or equal to the 10th multiple of 8, for example, right? And you know what they are. And then you'd increment by 8. Kind of maybe what you thought. Maybe you did it this way. And then you would just print the I value. Okay, so two different ways to do this. I begins at 8 and grows by 8 every time. So it goes 8, then 16, and then it'll just go all the way up to when it's 80. And we get it that way as well. Okay, that could have been another solution. There maybe are a few more. If you begin I at 0, it becomes a little more tricky to get the first 10 multiples of 8. So I begin at 1, and we go that way. So both of these are valid. I'm going to focus on this one though. Okay, so how do we do this as a while loop? Okay, so remember, while loops are actually a little bit different than for loops, but they can behave like for loops if you want them to, okay? So here's the deal. A while loop, the structure of a while loop looks like this, while, okay? That's all it does, okay? And just like a for loop has a body, a while loop also has a body. A for loop's kind of guts in here, it's like parameters here, whatever you want to think of these as, is quite a bit more complex than a while loop. Inside the while loop, we just need a Boolean, expression. We need a Boolean expression between the parens, okay? Right here we need to we could either say true, we could say false, and those are the two options. But the thing is, of course we don't have to say the words true or false, we just need to say something that evaluates to true or false. Does that make sense, right? So here's what we're gonna do, okay? So there is no way for us to declare a counter in here, right? Remember, true or false has to be in here. So we don't have any room to say int I equals 1. So what we have to do is we have to declare a variable up here, right? Right, so I have to declare the variable outside, right? And then in here, right, I need a Boolean value. And I want this loop to run as long as I is less than or equal to 10. So see how I'm going to take this? If I want to convert this for loop into a while loop, I take that and I put it in here, okay? So far, the for loop is being kind of converted into this while loop. We take the initialization of the variable and put it before the while loop. We take the conditional check of the for loop and make it now the conditional check of the while loop. Now we're missing two more pieces, okay? So we need to print the value, right? So let's just print the value inside here. Now think about this really quick before we move on. If I stop right here, what's going to happen? So let's just visualize this. I is 1. And then it's going to ask, is I less than or equal to 10? Well, of course, yes, it is. So I print out 8 times I. That's 8. And then it'll check again. Is I less than or equal to 10? Well, of course it is. It's still 1. I'm going to print out 8 times 1. That's 8. Is I less than or equal to 10? Yes, it is. It's still 1. Okay, obviously you get the point here. We need one more piece, right? We have every piece except for the increment of the variable. Now, when does this happen in the for loop? When does the I++ happen in the for loop? It happens after the body has completed, and then it updates, and then it checks again. So this, just like we want the I++ to happen at the end of the for loop process, we want it to happen at the end of the while loop process. Okay? So this will now print the first 10 multiples of 8, just like our for loop did. We've basically just translated the for loop into a while loop. Okay? We have 2 different versions. One's the for loop, one's the while loop. Notice that they're all kind of similar. Now, of course, while loops are going to be more useful in certain situations than for loops are, and we'll get to those later. But right now I want you to know that while loops can mock the behavior of for loops quite easily like this. One big difference, check it out. What's the scope of I according to this variable I right here? The scope of I is the for loop itself. Okay, that means this I is born in the for loop, does its thing, and then it dies, and there's no more I, right? Here, for the while loop version, we have declared I outside the while loop, which means that even after the while loop is done, this I variable now lives on, and the scope goes on and on and on and on forever, or until the end of the method at least, right? So just be careful. They're not exactly the same. The scope implications of doing a while loop are pretty important to understand. Can you do it real quick? How about this? How about you take a second? Can you write a while loop that counts down from 100 to 0? Pause the video and try that. All right, here's how we do it. Int x, since we can't use I anymore, I have to use something else. X will begin at 100, and then I'm going to do while x is greater than or equal to 0. I'd like to print the number x, right? And then what I want to do is, after every time it prints, so after 100, I want it to decrease, right? I want it to decrease to 99. I need to do x minus minus, okay? And that decrements the variable. And eventually, I run out of numbers, and I've printed them all from 100 to 0, right? So while loops are pretty easy like that, right? There it goes. It did it all. You can kind of see it, 100, 99, all on it now, right? So far, this is exactly the same as a for loop, and it doesn't have anything special to it. So in order to get to the special stuff that while loops can do that for loops cannot do, we need to kind of introduce something that's going to make that interesting. And one of those things is the random numbers, okay? So you remember when we made a scanner, for example? Like, you know how we can make a scanner? We could make a scanner called input and say it's going to be new scanner system.in. Okay, if you don't have scanners in your class or wherever you're studying right now, don't stress too much. We might use them a little bit, but this is something we've done in our class, and a scanner is a way to get user input. Like, you can type into the program and it can do stuff with the things you type. It says red squiggly because essentially it does not have access to the scanner class yet. So if you hover over the word scanner, it has some quick fixes. And the first one is the right idea. We want to import the scanner class. So we say import. Okay, and it fixes it. Well, okay, well, here's what happens. At the very top of your code, it imports java.util.scanner. So all the code for scanner that we're going to use is now available to us, okay? So we're good to go. All right, so that's how we make a scanner. We can, what we're going to do is make actually something that's not a scanner, but it's something that's going to get random numbers for us, okay? There's like a thing in Java that is an expert at making random numbers. And that object is called a random, okay? So I'm going to call it, just like we have scanner input above, I'm going to call this thing random, how about Randy? I don't know, why not? Random Randy. It equals a new random. And no parameter in there, okay? So no parameter, not like system.in. Same problem, okay? Check this out. Same problem. It's this. We need this import, just like we did for scanner. So that's why I was talking about the scanner stuff, because making the random object is a lot like making the scanner object. We need to import that code, okay? So remember, I want you to know, I didn't just make a number. I didn't just make a number. What did I do? I made a random, or I made an object. How about this? I made an object. Oh my gosh, come on, man. An object of type random This thing is really good at making random numbers. Okay, so I want you to make sure when you make your random object, you didn't just make a new random number. It's a huge misconception that I see a lot of people fall into. What we did is we made Randy, and what kind of thing is he? He's a random, and he loves to spit out random numbers. Okay, so we actually haven't made any numbers yet. We've made the guy that's going to give us random numbers. Okay, how about this? So for example, I'm going to save the little program here for a second. So here's how a random int works, making a random int. Making a random int. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to say int, my first, or how about a random number, random. Now we're finally making a random number. Okay, now we don't get to hard code this value. I don't get to say 9. I don't get to say 20 or 10, right? I actually have to go ask Randy for the number. Okay, Randy's a random number object. So Randy dot, kind of like how scanner has dot stuff, right? Can you tell its idea is, its first idea is the right one. We say Randy dot next int. There it is. Now we need a parameter here. Okay, we need to put an upper boundary on the numbers that we want. Okay, so Randy can go get a random integer, pretty large range of numbers, right? In the millions and billions even. So how about this? Let's cut it off at 10. Okay, so this actually gets us numbers starting at 0 up to 9. Okay, so never will be 10. Okay, so I want you to notice that. That's kind of crazy for people. So 10 is the first number that you won't get. Okay, so think about it this way. You're getting 0 through 9, so how many numbers is that? 0 through 9, count them up. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's actually 10 numbers. So that's the way I think of it, right? I'm getting 10, the range of numbers I get is 10, which means it's the numbers 0 through 9. Okay, so I'm never going to get 10. Okay, so that's how I get a random number from 0 to 9. Okay, let's actually print it. Why not? Let's just outprint our random number that we just made. Let's take a look. Random number was, I'm going to go like this real quick because I don't want to get confusing with my things that are printing above it. And then I'm going to concatenate that on. There we go. I got a random number. It's 2. How about I run it again? I got a random number. It's 9. Do you see it? It's happening at the bottom of the screen there. Yeah. So Randy's going to get these numbers, and I'm going to get numbers all the way up to 9, but never 10. Okay. So there's how you make random numbers, right? Pretty cool. So every time you run your program, it's different, right? So how about this? I'm going to skip this little program because I didn't really like this one. It wasn't all that fun. Not that fun. Okay. How about this? Let's have the computer. Let's make a computer guessing game. How about this? Let's have the computer pick a random number, and we have to guess it. Okay, here we go. So we're going to be using the scanner here to make our guesses, So think about what we're going to do, okay? The computer's going to pick a number in its head. Not going to tell us what it is. And then it'll be like, guess my number. And then it will be like 8. And it'll be like, nope, guess my number. 4, nope, guess my number. 5, yep, you got it, right? Do you see that? So essentially, do you hear the looping that's happening in there? Essentially, our guess is going to, if it's wrong, we want to keep the loop going, right? So let's actually do this in the old-fashioned while loop way. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's say int computer number. Let's say that it's going to be randy.nextInt. Let's say it's from 0 to 9. Okay, that's going to be just fine for me. Okay, and then I'm going to also, I need to prompt, the first thing I'm going to do before I even loop anything, I need to prompt the number. I need to prompt a number from, how about this? Guess a number. Right? And I need to catch the user's number. okay? I need to catch the user's number using the scanner. Thank goodness I made this scanner up here, right? Wasn't that clever of me? I knew we were going to use it. So you need this code. You need the scanner. If you don't have scanners in your lessons, then maybe this isn't for you. You can skip this part of the video. Scanner, or actually our int user guess will be the result of the scanner object input.nextInt. Okay. Okay. And then essentially there's this thing that happens, right? There's this thing that happens where we're going to make a guess here, and if it's wrong, then we want it to be like, say nope, and then prompt again, guess a number. All right, so here's the thing. We need a while loop. So how long do we want to do this? If the user's guess, as long as we want to do this whole looping process, as long as the user's guess is not equal to the computer's number. You know what I mean? While the user's guess is not equal to the computer number, we want to say, nope, and then prompt again. System.out.print. Yes, again. Okay. And then I need to catch a new number, right? Guess again. And then right here, if I don't prompt a new number, then if my first guess was wrong, then I'm forever stuck in this loop. I need to give it a chance to get out of here, right? So the only chance I have to get out of here is, well, all right, user guess, now you're going to change. I'm going to get some more input from the console. Okay, let's try this. What do you think? Should we try it? And then actually, so finally, eventually, this user guess will be correct. It'll equal the computer number, right? And this will then fail, right? Once my user guess is exactly what the computer number is, can you imagine this? User guess is actually the same as the computer number, so this is a false statement now, and I exit the while loop. Do you see how that works? So then at the bottom, once I get out, I'm going to say, you got it. Okay, let's actually play this game. Hopefully it won't take too long for us to get it. Let's see. Guess a number. By the way, that random number 8 has nothing to do with this part, right? 7. Nope, guess again. Okay, 2. Nope. How about 1? Nope. How about 4? Nope. Oh, man. There you go. 5 was the number. Very good. Yay. Right, so do you see how while loops are unique in this way? Because they can kind of run as many times as they need to, right? For loops kind of have a predetermined life to them, right? For loops kind of, before they're even entered, they kind of know how long they're going to go, right? Or we do, right? But this, we have no idea. While loops are better for when you don't know how many times it's going to run. They're an indeterminate loop, okay? So that's how we would use a while loop, okay? So how about, so that's one example of while loop. I'm going to cut this video off here in a second, but I want to show you the do while loop. Okay, the do while loop is very similar. Now, I'm a Husky fan, and at Husky Stadium, in the parking lot before the games, there's this dude that walks up with a trumpet, and he'll just walk right up to your tailgate, and he'll just start going with his trumpet and just like blaring a song into your face, and then he'll stop, and then he'll like hold out his little can of money, right? He'll want you to throw some money in the pot, and then that's basically him asking you, like, do you want another song? You're gonna have to pay. And if you pay him, he'll play another song. And then eventually you don't pay him and he leaves, right? The do while loop is kind of like that. It'll always do something once. It might do it again and again and again and again, but it'll always do it at least once, okay? So think about this. Let's actually simulate this trumpet guy at Husky Stadium. So here's the syntax of a do while loop. It's do, like this, like a block, and then you put the while part after it, okay? So this do thing is always going to happen once. Okay, so here's the deal, okay? So let's have the trumpet guy play his song. Ready? Sys out. Trumpet, song. Okay, and then he'll ask, right? Let's ask him, system.out.print. Right, wanna hear it again? And then we're going to catch the user's response. Okay. By the way, we're going to run into some interesting issues here, so just kind of be ready. Let's catch the user's response. User answer is going to be the result of my input scanner. Input.nextLine. How about next line? Okay. The next line of text will be the user's answer. Okay, now we need to decide, okay. How are we going to interpret yes or no? Let's dabble a little bit in our string manipulation, okay? So the user is going to type probably yes or no. I don't know if it's going to be like a capital Y or a lowercase y. So let's do something to the user's answer. Let's lowercaseify it. Can we do that real quick? Let's take the user's answer and lowercaseify it. Ready? Lowercase, so user answer. I would like you to become the lowercase version of yourself. User answer dot to lowercase. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if this new version of the user answer starts with a Y, right? So if it does start with a Y, then I'm assuming that the answer must have been something like yes or yeah or capital yeah or lowercase yeah, one of those things. If it starts with a Y, then I assume that I want this to happen again. So here's my while conditional. I want this do to go again as long as this user answer starts with Y. Does that make sense? How about this? User answer. As long as user answer dot starts with, wait a minute, this is the problem I was talking about. It has no idea what user answer is. Look at this, I'm going to hover over it. It says what? User answer can't be resolved to a variable. What? Is my computer broken? No. What's going on here? Does anybody know? It's scope, isn't it? Check it out. So there's a little local scope here, isn't there? Look at that. So do you see where string is born? The string user answer is born. It's born inside here. So we run out of scope and we can't use it out here. So there's a way around this, okay? There's a way around this. We can cleverly place the very first placement of this above the do. Okay? Watch this. If I put this above the do, now what's the scope of user answer? Right? Now its scope is forever and I can use it here. The problem is I can't declare it again. So if I declared user answer up here, I can't use it. I can't declare it again down here. I just have to reassign it. That make sense? Okay, now look at this. Now it knows what I'm talking about. So if I start typing this again, user answer dot, oh, now it knows what I'm talking about. So what were we doing again? What was the whole purpose of this? Oh yeah, we wanted to check if user answer starts with a Y. Starts with, and I'm going to put a little like a Y. Oops, I don't need a semicolon there. Okay, so I'm always going to run the trumpet song at least once. He just walks up and does it. Depending on what you say, he might do it again and again and again. Right? What's your problem here? Well, user answer starts with Y. I don't see any problem here. What's your problem? Why are you yelling at me? All right. I'm gonna see what's going on here. I'm gonna just type this again. Starts with a Y. What is your problem? Oh, okay. Semicolon, please. Okay, semicolon after that. I don't know what's going on. Okay, let's play the guessing game real quick, and then we'll play the the trumpet game. Okay, guess a number. 3. Nope. 2. Nope. 1. 5. Is it 5 again? Oh, okay. It's not 5. See, it is truly random. 9. Is it 8? Is it 7? Is it 6? There. Jeez. I think I must have guessed every single number except for 4. Trumpet song. Okay, look, I had no choice. Do I want to hear it again? How about, yeah. Ah, stuck. Okay, what's going on? The program terminated. Input.nextLine. Okay. Oh. Okay, sorry for the maniacal laughter. We just ran into a diabolical issue, and it has to do with scanner. Can we fix it real quick? I'm not going to do a new video. Here's what it is. Check it out. Remember when we wrote this 6 again for this program up here? Right? We wrote the 6, and we took the next int. But there was a return carriage after that we hit. So when we asked for next line, we asked for next line. That return carriage right there was our user answer. Okay, so here's the tricky part, okay? When you ask for next int, it only takes the int, and it doesn't take when you hit enter. That's just hanging there. So later on in the program, we ask for input.nextLine, and the scanner was like, I got a line. It's right here, even though there's nothing in it. Because you hit enter, it considers that like a line. That means our user answer was nothing at all, which does not start with y, and we exit the program. So here's what we should do if we want to fix this. After we take the next int, let's consume the next line real quick. Input right here, back in our numbers game, take next line, and consume that. Consume that return carriage so that doesn't interfere with our lower problem here. Okay, how about this? Let's do it again. Random, okay, guess a number. How about 5? Nope, 1. Nope, 2. Yay, good. Okay, trumpet song. Want to hear it again? Good, so now I can actually write an answer. How about yes? Trumpet song. Want to hear it again? Anything that starts with a Y. Yeah. Trumpet song. Want to hear it again? Yo, 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 yo. Anything that starts with a Y is going to work. How about this? Want to hear it again? Nah. Cool. Program over. Right? Okay, so I know I probably frustrated you or blew your mind a little bit with this whole scanner problem that we ran into earlier. Just don't worry too much about it. Just remember when you do next int, there may be a hanging enter character that might bother us later. So anytime I use next int, I often pair it with next line so that I eat that enter character so my further interactions with the scanner aren't bothered. Hopefully that makes sense. The big difference between a while loop and a do-while loop always runs at least once. The while loop might not, depending on how this initial check goes. Notice how the do-while loop just executes the body before it even checks. The while loop checks before it runs the body. It's kind of upside down. That makes sense? Okay. That's all I'm going to cover in this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope that you tune in for more videos in the future. I'll check in with you guys later. Please leave me a question or a comment if this was unclear. You want me to go over something even more. All right. Hey, have a great one. Happy coding, everybody.